Hi, I hope you're well today. Today I want to talk to you about alcohol and self-confidence. So many people say to me that they're worried about stopping drinking because they can't imagine being confident, being sociable, engaging with other people without alcohol. So many people believe that when they stop drinking, their confidence is just going to go down the plug hole. And I have to admit that this was exactly the same for me. When I first started thinking about stopping drinking, I couldn't imagine what my life was going to be like without alcohol. I was terrified that I was just going to become this really boring, dull person who simply didn't go to social events, didn't go to parties, didn't hang around with other people who were drinking. I imagined that my life, my social life, was kind of going to be over because I believed that it was the alcohol that was giving me the confidence to chat, to engage, to be uninhibited, to have fun, and to do all of the things that are considered a normal part of socialising. I thought it was the alcohol doing all of that for me. And so many other people believe exactly the same. And so today I want to bust that myth for you. Now, it might well be that when you first stop drinking, it's work, it's commitment. You have to concentrate, you have to focus, you have to practice. You have to practice finding alternative things to do instead of drinking. So it might be that on a Friday evening, a Saturday evening, you have to choose to drink a different soft drink alternative or a herbal tea or whatever it is you choose to do instead. And you really have to practice and put a lot of energy into doing things differently. And when you're going out and socialising, if you're brave enough, courageous enough to go out and deal with a social event sober, you need to practice doing it differently. You need to have alternative strategies in place. And this can be hard work. And sometimes in the early days of stopping drinking, you just can't face it. And that's okay. It's okay to make things easy on yourself when you first stop drinking. It's okay to hide away, shelter yourself, protect yourself against the situations that are going to be just too challenging for you. Now, I remember the first time I went out for a drink with my partner. I think it was about 3 or 4 weeks into my new sober life. And we went to the local bar for an evening. And I was terrified. Well, okay, not terrified, anxious. I was anxious about it because this was the first time I'd gone to a bar to have a drink and chat to my partner and have a meal without alcohol. This was the first time I'd done it. So what I'd had to do was I'd had to prepare for it in advance. I'd had to kind of mentally rehearse what I was going to order at the bar instead of alcohol. I'd had to get myself into the right mindset. I'd had to prepare myself I'd had to literally imagine walking into the bar and not ordering alcohol, ordering a tonic water instead. In fact, I think it was a peppermint tea that I ordered. And I'd mentally rehearsed doing all that so that I was feeling confident enough and prepared enough to actually see it through and to actually do it. And that first trip to the bar, when I was sober, living my life sober, the first half of the evening was hard work. It was a case of just kind of getting through it, just managing to get through the evening without ordering a drink and without drinking. But the second half of the evening was more relaxing and more enjoyable. And what I discovered that first trip to the bar was that this was possible. I could actually do this. Prior to doing this, I had no concept that this was possible for me. In fact, when I was drinking, I used to think it was impossible to go to bars, to go to pubs and not order a drink. That life was going to be awful. It was going to be dull. It was going to be boring. I just couldn't do it. And of course, the first time that I did it, I proved to myself that it was possible. It was different. It was hard work in the first half of the evening, but it was possible. And in fact, by the end of the evening, after that second half of the evening, I'd realised that I could relax and I could actually enjoy certain aspects of the evening. Like, for instance, I was able to engage and connect much more authentically with my partner because alcohol wasn't getting in the way. And we were able to kind of connect in a much more deeper and more meaningful way because I wasn't drinking. And of course, there were other benefits as well. Like, I was able to drive home afterwards. I was able to remember the conversation we'd had. I was able to go to bed at a reasonable time, and with a fresh mouth because I'd scrubbed my teeth before I went to bed. Simple little things like that I didn't ordinarily get to do when I was drinking, I was able to do because I hadn't drunk that evening. And of course, I was able to wake up with a fresh head, fully rested after a good quality night's sleep. So there were all sorts of other benefits to the evening that made it worthwhile. And the point I want to make is this: when you first stop drinking, it is effort. It can be work, and it can take commitment, and it can take resilience. And your self-confidence that you've previously relied on the alcohol to bring that self-confidence out, your self-confidence is kind of buried in there somewhere. It is there. It's just that you haven't known it's there because you've relied on the alcohol to do it for you. But your self-confidence is there. And the more you practice the kind of evenings and the kind of socialising that I've just described, in terms of me going to the bar with my partner, the more that you engage in those kind of challenges, you experience those kind of challenges, and you practice those kind of social challenges, the more used to them you get. And the less work they become, and the more you start relaxing and simply enjoying yourself. Now, years down the line, it's been, 3 or 4 years now that I've been sober. I now go to the pub, go to local bars, go to restaurants, go to social events with my partner, and I'm not giving any thought or attention at all to preparing for it, planning for it, what am I going to do instead of not drinking? None of that, because I'm not even thinking about alcohol. You don't even think about it anymore. You simply go to the pub, you go to the bar, you go to the social event, and it's not a consideration because you know at some deep unconscious level that you're simply not drinking. It's just a given. You don't have to proactively or consciously think about it at all. And so you're not thinking about alcohol at all. You're not putting any of your energy into alcohol, thinking about it, drinking it, recovering from it. Putting your energy into thinking about the next drink, to whether you're drinking quicker than everybody else, whether other people are noticing how much you're drinking. There's none of that going on. Your energy is going into simply enjoying the moment, the connections with people, the conversations, the event. Alcohol isn't getting in the way. And the more that you're doing that, the more that you're kind of authentically being yourself, and the more that you're allowing your natural confidence to appear. And what you discover is that it wasn't the alcohol at all giving you the confidence. The confidence was there. The alcohol might have been unlocking it, but the confidence was there. And what happens the more that you practice doing social events sober is that you find other ways to unlock that confidence. It just kind of comes out naturally. So a good example is I was sitting in a beer garden with some people that we'd just met a few days ago. Sitting in the beer garden, they're all drinking pints of lager and beer, and there was a woman there drinking wine. I'm drinking tonic water, and everybody was just relaxing in the summer sun and having a laugh. In fact, we were laughing so hard we had tears streaming down our cheeks. And the woman that I was sitting with, because I told them I didn't drink when they were going to the bars and going to the bar, ordering around, asked me what I wanted. I said, I don't drink, I'll just have a... In fact, I don't even think I said that. I think I just asked for a tonic water and nobody questioned it, because that's the other thing nobody does. When you're so confident about your lifestyle that you're not having to justify it to anyone, it's no big deal. It's not a talking point. Nobody cares. So I just said, oh, I'll just have a tonic water, please. And then I think it might have come up in the conversation at some point about me not drinking, because the woman I was sitting next to, as we were laughing through our tears, she was talking to me through her laughter tears, and she was saying, God, you haven't even had a drink. Imagine what you'd be like if you were drinking. And I'd said to her, well, you believe me, you don't want to know. And we were just absolutely crying with laughter. And there was a moment where I was sat at this wooden, I remember the wooden beer table. I remember all the drinks on the beer table. I remember the sun shining and the blue sky above. And I remember the laughter and the conversation. And I sat there and it was like a bolt of lightning struck me. It was like a real light bulb moment. It was that I was feeling naturally so effervescent and bubbly, so authentically me, and that it was okay to be authentically me. And I was engaging in this conversation and this laughter with people that I'd only just met, and it was okay to be me, and it was okay to laugh, and it was just all happening naturally. And I realised in this kind of lightning or light bulb moment with the sun shining and the conversation and the laughter flowing, that this is what life is all about. It's about being 100% authentically you. And no matter where you are on that kind of social scale, from being a social butterfly or being more of a wallflower and tending to sit back and be quiet and observe things, it doesn't matter where you are on that scale. What matters is that you're authentically you. And for me, sometimes that is about being a wallflower and standing back and being quiet and being shy and just observing other people. And sometimes I'm more of a social butterfly and I'm engaging in the laughter and the conversation. And that's dependent on the context I'm in and the people I'm with. The point is that your natural confidence has a chance to, or it's more that you have a chance to rediscover your natural confidence and to allow it to bubble through and to come up and to show itself when you get rid of the alcohol. It's not the alcohol that's giving you the confidence. In fact, what alcohol actually does, the more that it's abused over time and the more that you become psychologically or even physically dependent on it, the more that alcohol actually gets in the way of your self-confidence, knocks it down even further. Because what you're doing when you have an unhealthy relationship with alcohol and you're depending on it is it's actually knocking your self-confidence, because you're ending up with less self-respect. You're ending up with shame, with guilt about your behaviour. You're ending up with a sense of failure. You're not allowing yourself to have that self-respect, to feel those natural levels of self-confidence, because your behaviour around alcohol is just knocking all that on its head. It's not allowing that to surface. And so alcohol actually becomes a barrier to self-confidence, even though it might feel when you're drinking it that it's giving you a kind of instant gratification or instant relief. What it's doing over the long term is it's knocking all that self-confidence down. It's knocking your self-respect down. And if you haven't got any self-respect, or if you haven't got much self-respect, it's almost impossible to have that natural self-confidence. And the way that you get that self-respect back is you take control. And you take control by stopping drinking and by learning to live your life sober. And as time goes by, you get more and more practiced, you get more and more confident at it, and eventually your self-confidence returns. So let me know in the comments below, how does alcohol or sobriety affect your self-confidence? For more tips, motivation and inspiration to stop drinking and live life happily and healthily sober, you can subscribe to my channel. I'll look forward to catching up with you soon, but in the meantime, let's go get sober together.